Good morning, Manchester City on Sunday. It's Friday today. Happy Friday. Don't say Friday. I hate that. But yeah, 2 o'clock Sunday, Vitality Stadium. Massive game for us. Obviously, our record against Manchester City in the Premier League, not particularly good. I wouldn't say it's awful. Yeah, I would. We've got no points. Obviously, it's going to be a very difficult match against them. They're going to be raging after their VAR incident against Spurs at home last weekend. And yeah, they're going to come into this game wanting 3 points. But equally, Bournemouth, despite our bad run, there should be some optimistic thoughts. Well, that's what Jeff thought. He's my co-presenter on the podcast. If you go to afcbpodcast.com and scroll towards the end, we give our Man City preview. And yeah, he gave us some reasons to maybe we should perhaps think that we've got a chance in this one. Whether we have or not, I don't know. But we're going to go through our team, any thoughts on the formations, etc. And also, we're speaking to Ray from Man City Fans Chat. So yeah, in their last match, they drew 2-2. Sterling opened the scoring for Man City, and then almost immediately Lamela equalised for Spurs, and then Aguero made it 2-1, and then Lucas Moura with a set piece. And set pieces is maybe somewhere we can damage them on the pitch, because last season we definitely were better at set pieces. So I'm hoping maybe we can do something similar, because I mean, Lucas Moura is not the tallest of players in the world, yet he managed to rise up like a salmon and nod home. And they're not exactly short of tall defenders, if that makes any sense. So yeah, there are some reasons to be optimistic, but we're going to go through the team news. But firstly, I want to chat to Ray from Man City Fans Chat. He's got a great YouTube channel. Link is in the card there. And I chatted to him yesterday. And I said, now, first question, obviously Bournemouth have got 0 points against Man City. As a Man City fan, can you give us a few reasons why Bournemouth should or could be optimistic ahead of Sunday's game?
Well, you're pushing it, Sam, if you think there's a couple of reasons why Bournemouth fans can have some optimism for the game on Sunday. But let's be honest about it. Look, City are a good team. We've seen that over the last few seasons, especially in the last 2 seasons under Pep. But we don't come without our weaknesses, and that is always going to give teams an opportunity. I think if you just defend, I think eventually we'll break you down. I mean, this team right now, looking at our forward line and our midfield, I think we will break just about every single team down. I think Spurs, look at the last game we played, very, very strong defensively, and we battered them. So you've got to take your chances. That's the first thing. Spurs, 2 half chances, 2 goals. You've got to take your chances. And the 2 areas where I actually think you can hurt us, if you play your cards right, one of them is on set plays. You saw Lucas Moura, who's probably shorter than me, he's about 5'6", leaping above our defenders who are 6' plus to score the equaliser on last Saturday. So that's one opportunity for you. And I think another one is if you break behind our fullbacks. I think Walker's stepped up his game this season because he's worried that this João Cancelo might take his place. So he's upped his game, I think. I think he concentrates better, and attacking-wise, he's even better than the last couple of seasons. But Zinchenko still is error-prone. Look, he's an attacking midfielder playing at left-back. He's played pretty well at left-back, but one of the reasons is we have sometimes 70% of the ball. We have that much possession that other teams don't have that many opportunities. So he's not called upon as a fullback too often in a game. He's usually, if you look at his average position, it's in the opponent's half during a game. So I think, but knocking the diagonal ball over his head, that's a weakness. Take him on. Take him on. Your winger, whoever plays your right wing, has got to put him under pressure. Get him in the box and put pressure on him that way. I think those are your 2 best ways to get at City. I mean, you've got some good players on the break, some fast players up front especially. And I think you've got to take every opportunity you get to score a goal. You've got to score a goal.
Yeah, interesting. So, team lineups, how do you think we're going to go? We'll go back to Ray with another question shortly, but a lot of people have been saying that we either need to crowd the midfield or defence. 4-4-2 worked fairly well for us against Aston Villa, but let's face it, their attacking potency is a long way short of what Man City's is. So whether Eddie will stick to 4-4-2, I don't quite know. I think he would have to swap it up. So we've been thinking it's going to be 5-3-2, or he may try to crowd out the midfield, because obviously that's where Man City dominate. It's a tricky one, and there will need to be a player likely dropped to maybe bring in Chris Mepham, perhaps. Now, I know that Jack Simpson has deputised in matches against Man City recently, but he didn't make it ahead of Mepham on the first game. He was on the bench, and then he wasn't even in the squad against Aston Villa, whereas Mepham was. So you'd have to say that out of the two now, it seems that Mepham is actually preferred over Simpson, so I wouldn't expect to see Simpson chucked in there, but knowing Eddie, anything can happen. So, yeah, we're thinking that Mepham may start. There's potential for 3 at the back. We'll talk more about this. I need to work it out and get my little spreadsheet out. But let's go back to Ray. And obviously last season was just nuts with regards to how the Premier League panned out. Obviously they're 2 points ahead, whether rightly or wrongly, through VAR, that handball incident. So they're already behind in the title race, and it's crazy because it seems to start earlier and earlier each and every season. But I said, how do you feel that the title race is going to pan out this season?
How do I see this season panning out? It's a really difficult one to call. I mean, Liverpool pushed us really hard last season. I mean, to get 97 points and not win the title, I mean, that's got to hurt. I'm sure it did hurt their fans, their players, their staff, everybody. And we'd have felt the same if we'd finished 1 point behind Liverpool. It would have been gutted, absolutely gutted. So I expect a similar competition. I don't think Liverpool are as good as City overall. Maybe against City they're actually quite good, and I don't think they've got as good a squad as City have. But they keep pulling out results. I mean, we've seen so far this season not the best performances in the world, in my book, from Liverpool, but they've managed to win 2 games. So I think they'll be there or thereabouts. My hope is that City win the league again. That's the number one target for, I think, especially the older City fans. It's always the number one target is the Premier League now. Champions League, that'd be nice. Cups, that'd be nice. Like the icing on the cake, really, if we win the Champions League. But I think we've generally said the Premier League is our bread and butter. That's what we want to win, and that's our realistic aim. I think Liverpool will push us close. I think the winner of the Premier League will need to score to have more than 90 points, and it could be as much as 94, 95 points to win it. Will teams get 97, 98? I doubt it, but I think someone was going to get around 94, 95 points, and it'll either be City or Liverpool.
Yeah, and we all know that players like Aguero, Sterling, De Bruyne, I mean, I could go on. Those are obviously the standout players, but are there any players that perhaps go under the radar for Man City in terms of, not maybe taking the limelight, but being worthy of threat?
Well, if I can't mention 5 or 6 standout players, there's not many players left in the City team. But I think the one that we're liking the look of right now is Rodri. He's playing as a holding midfielder, but I think he's got a bit more in his locker going forwards as well. Right now, he's not at the level of a Fernandinho. Fernandinho's 33, 34 years old. Let's be honest, in the twilight of his career, it's going to be. But he's still very, very good. And most City fans still rate him higher than Rodri at the moment. We've only seen Rodri in 2 competitive games, so we just need to see a bit more of him. But from what we've seen so far, if he can continue to get the hang of the Premier League, then I think he's going to be an awesome player for City for potentially the next 8 to 10 seasons. He's young, athletic, mobile, tall, strong, and he's pretty much everything you want from holding midfield. He's several inches taller than Fernandinho. I think that benefits us as well defensively at corners and free kicks and throw-ins. But I think we'll see going forwards in this season that he will contribute a lot to City going forwards. He's, I think, more attacking than Fernandinho. He'll set up more opportunities for City. I think his long and short passing in the opponent's half is excellent so far. City fans have really liked what they've seen, and I think he's going to be a danger, a threat going forwards, as well as a backstop going backwards. When we defend him, I think he's going to be awesome, and when we go forwards, I think he's going to surprise people as to how good he really is.
Interesting. So, as City fans, are there any players that you feel as though Bournemouth have got that are quite threatening or of worthy of note?
Well, I think we all know who your better players are. I mean, your front two, King and Wilson. Very, very good as a partnership. They're going to score you lots of goals this season. Fraser in midfield, always talked about. And Nathan Ake, a player that I like. And when we were thinking when company's gone, will City look for a new centre-back? And I thought Nathan Ake would be a very, very good option. Once Harry Maguire's price was getting ridiculous and his wage demands appear to be way over the top, I thought Nathan Ake, if we could get him for around 40, even 50 million quid, would actually be, could be considered as a bargain. Homegrown player, he qualifies as that. That's what we needed because we have got no, until Leroy Sané's injury, we had no more non-homegrown spots available in our squad. And I like the look of Nathan Ake, so he's going to be very good in your defence. I think you know that already. But we have to keep our wits about your attackers. And the way I think you've got pace when you're going to break against City, transitioning from defence into attack. I'm worried about King and Wilson. I'm always worried about players who have got pace, who know where the back of the net is. And Fraser coming through late. He's another player that we've got to be very, very careful of.
Very interesting that with that answer that the players that we all know as attacking threats are mentioned, and you would have to say that they are going to be picked. Now, there's a player, Josh King, who, if you checked other videos on the YouTube channel, many people thought he had a weak game. Weaker than others against Aston Villa. So there are two players, that Harry Wilson and Josh King, that may miss out. That's what everyone's saying. I think everyone else is pretty much guaranteed. So we're talking Billing Lerma in the middle, Ryan Fraser obviously, Callum Wilson, Nathan Ake, Steve Cook, Charlie Daniels as well, Adam Smith on the right. But other than that, it's a bit of a free-for-all. So there are sort of Ramsdale, obviously, there are sort of 6 or 7 guaranteed places, but then a number of positions that we're not kind of overly sure about. And the last thing that we want to do is make it an easy game for Man City, because despite their narrow 1-0 win last season, they did just dominate possession, and it was one of those things where you get waves and waves of attacks. Whilst that we were fairly steadfast in defence and we stayed firm, it was always going to come, and it just happened to be that it was a scuffed shot. But had Mahrez not scored that, they would have probably scored some other way up the other end. So I was actually really disappointed with that. But matches at the Vitality Stadium are getting closer, because obviously before that it was 2-1, the Charlie Daniels wonder goal, and that was a last-minute Sterling goal. He didn't score in the last match. Maybe what I said about because I on the opposition chat, I did a chat for Ray as well, and I said if you're going to bet, you'd probably say Sterling to score and Man City to win, because that seems to always happen. But he didn't score in the last one, did he? So I asked Ray as well. I said, given the fact that we've not taken a single point off you since we were promoted to the Premier League, I'm sure the bookies are obviously favouring an away win. So although Pep's obviously not going to be taking the view that it's an easy game to his squad, he never does that. We've seen the documentary. Even against the lowest of teams in the FA Cup, he still went all guns blazing with the squad. As supporters, do you see going away to Bournemouth as an easy game?
I certainly don't see Bournemouth as an easy game. And to be quite honest, I don't look at any single game in the Premier League as an easy game. Teams now with the money they've got, yes, they can't compete at the levels of United, City and Liverpool in terms of spending power. But with the money they've got these days, they can hold on to their players for a little bit, their better players for a little bit longer. And teams can go out and spend 15, 20, 25 million pounds on players. I mean, look at Aston Villa. They spent over 100 million pounds on players. Got Tyrone Mings from you guys. I think they paid, 25 or 26 million pounds for him. So teams can compete in that respect. They've got the bargaining power. They can get some of the better players around Europe that would normally go to some decent clubs in Europe. And they've been attracted to the Premier League because we've just got the money here. I don't know what your commercial income is and what your match day income is, but the money you're going to get from TV rights is well over 100 million pounds. That's great bargaining power when you compare yourselves, any English team, any English Premier League team to top European teams in their top leagues. So that makes it more difficult because teams have got better players and they can retain those better players for just that 1 or 2 seasons longer than possibly they would have done in the past. But as I said, it's not an easy game. I think last season, scrappy 1-0 win for City at the end of the day. You fought hard, you worked hard to keep us out. In the past, yes, we've beaten you quite easily a few times. You never got a point off us, like you say. But I don't see it as an easy game. I think you'll be resolute in defence. It's one of those, if City score a couple of early goals, yes, it could be an easy game and we could batter you. Obviously, the longer you hold out, the more chance you've got of hitting us on the break with a sucker punch, getting an opportunity from a dead ball situation. You're going to have to do better than last season, where I don't think you had a single shot on target. But as I said, you're not an easy game anymore.
So how do you see the match going on Sunday, and what's your prediction?
Let's be honest, I see the match going like many matches against City for most teams. We're going to have the bulk of possession. We'll probably be somewhere in the region of 60-odd%, I suspect, against Bournemouth. I think you're going to be defensive again. Most teams are. And I think we're going to struggle to break you down. If we score early, obviously that's going to help us and bring you out a little bit. But I think we will break you down. I think it's going to be teams are going to be very lucky and very resilient to keep City out this season. I think we're a better side than we were last season. We might not get as many points as last season or the season before, but I think with Kevin De Bruyne in stunning form, Raheem Sterling oozing confidence, scored 4 goals already this season. I think we're going to score a lot of goals. We're going to have a lot of opportunities, and we'll break most teams down. Will you score? I really don't think so. Unless you change your attitude, you can't be like last season, not even having a shot on target. So I'm going to go for a City win. I'm going to go for a City win 2-0.
Interesting thoughts there. So my thanks go out to Ray from Man City Fans Chat, and click up there. Should be able to see a little card that's appeared, and that is a chat that we actually filmed yesterday, so it might have looked a little bit disjointed how we've done it, but he answers my questions on there as well, and I answer his, and he's got it all on the same video, so you might find that quite a useful little preview video to watch. It's about half an hour long, so do check that out. Team lineups for Sunday then. Ramsdale surely is going to be in goal. Then you've got, I think he will go Adam Smith and Charlie Daniels as wing backs, and he'll play the 3 at the back, I think. Nathan Ake, Steve Cook, Chris Mepham. I think that will happen. Then in midfield, you'll have Lerma and Billing, and I think he could do one or two things. He could stick Sermon in there as a bit of an extra defensive policy, but I don't think he would play Sermon and Mepham in the same lineup. And I think if he's going to go for one over the other, I think he would go for Mepham. But then they do like to crowd out the midfield. Don't know. Well, I think Fraser's going to play just ahead of Lerma and Billing. and sort of roam about. And then up front, Callum Wilson and Josh King. I don't think Harry Wilson will be starting. I mean, he had a good first half, but he did look fairly ineffective in the second half. It's got to be said. Most of our attacking sort of impetus against Villa was down that left flank, wasn't it? Can you remember too much down the right? I certainly can't. So I think Harry Wilson will be the one to sit out here. And yeah, Callum Wilson and Josh King up front. King, although he didn't have the greatest games, he's still strong and fast, pacey. The only problem is we may miss out on that natural link that Harry Wilson provides between the midfielders and attack. That that gap was partially bridged against Villa, I feel, but that's what I think he's going to go with anyway. So yeah, Fraser, Lower and Billing in a sort of midfield. Obviously Fraser playing more advanced, and then yeah, the 5 at the back with the 2 wing backs, and hopefully somehow we can claw a point from this. Let me know the formations in the comments, what you think is going to happen tomorrow, because I've just got no idea. It's one of them where if we were playing someone else, like a West Ham and Everton, you would probably say, yeah, Eddie will pick the same team, 4-4-2. But this is a different kettle of fish, isn't it? Let me know in the comments, and yeah, would be really interested. Videos, match chats after the game. I'll be doing them this time. Last time we were a little bit out of the way. This time I think we're going to be just outside the main reception, sort of in the car park, so we're out of the way of the through flow of passengers. So you know they've got the green gates that opens up into the car park. We'll just be on the other side of that, just where there's a little grassy bit, and then there's the cars. So I think we'll be standing on the other side there. It's a better spot to chat to people. If you're one of these people that like to voice their opinions on Twitter and say whatever you like, why not give it a go and chat to me? I'm fairly friendly. I know that there's a number of people scheduled to come over, but we just want as many thoughts as we can, and we'll interview as many and get them on. And we've got a real kind of urge to put them on YouTube as soon as we possibly can. So I'm talking 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You'll be seeing fan interviews starting to come onto YouTube. So do subscribe, because they'll be popping up in your feed. So you might find them really helpful. But yeah, we'll be opposite the reception this time, the main entrance, just by the main stand. Okay, so come along and do say hi, because I'd really like to get your opinion on the game. But until Sunday, keep everything crossed. And yeah, gonna be an interesting one. Until then, up the cherries. Back in the day!